Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. I'm your host, Dylan, along with my cousin and co host,
Gab.
and today we are talking about a movie that was recommended to me by a friend from high school. I had literally never seen this movie. I had never heard of this movie. I thought we were talking about a 2000s movie with Angelina Jolie. Gab, the movie's in the title of the episode, but had you ever heard of the movie The Changeling from 1980?
No, actually, Dylan, in fact, when you told me the movie was called The Changeling, I immediately associated it with that Christmas horror story nightmare film you made me watch around Christmas time, where there was a changeling and they also dropped a hard C on Mrs. Claus.
Yes, when they called her a Christmas see you next Tuesday. This is an entirely different definition of changeling, though.
Do you want to expand upon the definition of changeling for this versus what a lot of people assume? Are there multiple definitions? Like, give us the details.
There are multiple definitions. Oh my God, I have this here somewhere. I swear I'm prepared. So, a changeling can be like what we saw in the Christmas movie, where it literally has transformative properties. It can appear as something different. The other definition of changeling is a child secretly exchanged for another in infancy,
Interesting.
which
Okay.
I'm
So,
sure provides more context for you on why this movie is titled The Changeling.
yeah, I mean, listen, I could put two and two together. I'm just surprised because changeling, that just feels like we don't refer to humans as ings, no?
I guess not.
Like in what other context would you call someone an ing?
A youngling.
Oh, okay. All right. I stand corrected. That's all I needed. Um,
You've never gone to the oldlings home?
okay, that's fine. So, all right. So I guess I have to tell them what this is about.
Yeah. Gab, what is The Changeling about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
Explain!
As you would a child.
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
So the Changeling is about a man whose wife and daughter are manslaughtered.
Not normally used as a verb, but go on.
Well, they weren't murdered. I guess they were killed, is how a normal person would say it, but they were manslaughtered if we're being specific. And in order to escape his grief, he moves across the country from New York City to Washington, moves into an old, clearly haunted house. That's on him. And then has to figure out why the house is haunted and set the spirit free so it stops troubling him.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Thank
According
you,
to
Larry David.
You are welcome. According to IMDb, the plot summary: after experiencing tragic personal losses, that's how they got around the manslaughtering verb.
Mm.
A music professor rents a Seattle mansion haunted by a slain boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose you're going to tell me the taglines.
Yes, which, considering our past like two episodes, I feel like there was like 20 taglines each time. This is going to be a relative breeze.
Good.
An experience beyond total fear.
I would say that's not true.
I feel like that's a stretch for pretty much any movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two people live in this house. One of them has been dead for 70 years.
I don't hate that.
I don't hate it either. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay.
How did you die, Joseph? Did you die in this house? Why do you remain?
Mm,
I kind of dig
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
just how did you die, Joseph? Why do you remain?
yeah. I also think that I don't love the idea of them giving away his name, Joseph,
Mhm.
because for obvious reasons, there's another Joseph in the story, right? And so the thought of that being on the poster and people being like, "Hey, Joseph, that's somebody important," like it just feels like it's giving it away too soon.
You know what? I get that. I do feel going into this not really knowing much at all. I kind of appreciated that I wouldn't have had some kind of semi spoiler like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And last one, whatever you do, don't go into the attic.
Terrible. Like, how lazy can you be?
That feels like it could be a thousand different movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, before we get into this, I think we should just give like a brief synopsis because my guess is anybody listening has not seen this movie.
Except for Jeff, who suggested it. Here you are, Jeff. Enjoy.
Sure. Here you go, Jeff. Listen to us butcher this movie you like.
The movie is about John Russell. Or should I be having you say the longer version of what it's about?
Oh God. All right. Sorry, Jeff. So John Russell's wife and daughter are manslaughtered by a oh God, I'm struggling already, Dill.
A
By
truck.
a snowplow truck that accidentally runs them over. We're going to talk about this scene in great detail because I have notes. And in order to escape his grief, he moves across the country to Seattle. He apparently gets some kind of job as a music professor in Seattle. He, at one point, is seen walking through Lincoln Center, so we can assume he's some like big shot musician. He goes to Seattle. He rents an old historical home that upon entering, we are beaten over the head by the fact that this house is haunted. It is so clearly haunted. If you've ever seen a haunted house, if you close your eyes and imagine what a haunted house looks like, that's what this house is. It's haunted from the jump. We know it. But
We're
as
also
he's
beaten over the
mingling,
head by how bad the economy is that he was able to rent this house as a single man.
honestly, and it's like, what do you need 8 bedrooms for? You know? Like, what are
He,
you doing?
he maybe only wanted to change the beds once a week, but he wanted to sleep in a fully made bed each day.
I mean, perhaps. It's just like, Jesus Christ. You know, you think to yourself, all right, everyone you've ever loved has just been brutally murdered together. So, yeah, let's move to this really big house where there's nothing but room for me to drown in my own sorrows. Like, get an apartment, dog. Get an apartment. So, while he is sort of making friends in Seattle and he's friends with the woman who rented him the home, he starts like rubbing elbows with the high society. And we are introduced to the senator, correct?
Yes, Senator Joseph Carmichael, who he goes to a benefit for the historical. Well, no, he goes to a benefit with a member of the Historical Prevention Society. The benefit is for the town's orchestra or the city's orchestra or whatever. But the
Something he
leader
cares about.
is Senator Carmichael is there talking.
Yes. And immediately we are once again beaten over the head by the fact that something is up about Senator Carmichael. He's a little strange. Something about him ain't right. And then come to find the house that he's living in is haunted. He has all these different experiences with loud banging pipes and doors opening and closing and all the generic creepy stuff. And eventually he makes his way into the attic, which is boarded up, and there are bookshelves over the boarding like it's you wouldn't even know it was a room. And in the room, when he finally gets in, he sees a child's wheelchair, lots of creepy stuff, a diary, and he is like, okay, I know something is up here. So he ends up having a seance in the home with some person who's like, no, trust me, I'm a professional seancer. And they,
Well, no, don't forget that we see him go to like the psychiatry unit at the college he's working at because first I think he wants to ask, am I just insane? And they're like, probably not. I mean, maybe, but I don't think so. And they say, we have mediums come through here all the time. 99% are total BS, but the 1% are pretty impressive. And one of the 1%ers, as Bernie Sanders would hate, goes and helps John Russell.
yes. So this is, I think, the coolest scene in the movie, and we'll talk about this, but she is getting in touch with the spirit, and she's in like her transient state, and she's writing on a piece of paper, and his words are coming through as she's writing, and it's really cool. And basically, we find out that the spirit's name is Joseph. He's calling for his father. He's saying the ranch, the well, why would you do this to me? I'm please, you know, blah, all the typical. So the next place that, why are you looking at me like that?
This is just
Okay.
how I look. I'm sorry.
The next, it's very overwhelming to me. The next step in this plot is for John Russell and his little girlfriend to go to the ranch because they figured out that the family owned a ranch somewhere.
Yeah, once we have
And
the seance and we know more, it becomes much more of an investigation movie than a haunting.
yes.
Yeah.
So they go to this ranch. The woman's like, normally I wouldn't let you in here, but it's so strange. My daughter recently said that there was some dead boy trying to come up through the floor. What a coincidence. I guess you can come in and look. So they tear up the floor. Underneath the floorboard is a well. And of course, there is the body of the little boy. So now they need to figure it out. Who is this little boy? What is he doing? And wouldn't you know it, up from the dirt, apropos of nothing, comes a necklace that says Joseph Carmichael. And somehow, some way, they figure out that Joseph Carmichael was a young, crippled boy who held the key to his family's inheritance, but only once he turned 21. And if he died before he turned 21, then the money would no longer be in the family. It would go to somebody else or something. So the father decides to drown his son, Joseph Carmichael, and tell everybody that he was off to Switzerland in order to get treatment for whatever had him in the wheelchair. I'm guessing polio, but what do I know? And then
I think it's
miraculously,
something worse than polio. You know what? I don't think they ever say
Dylan, what's worse than polio?
Ebola.
HIV. No, AIDS.
Let's not rank
You can live
diseases
a
anymore.
norm. You can live a healthy and regular life with HIV nowadays, Dylan. I just want you to know that. Look at Magic
Why do you
Johnson.
want me to know that?
I just feel like you don't know, and I want to educate you. My favorite class I ever took in college was this class on HIV and AIDS. I really learned a lot. And then we got to watch Philadelphia.
That's nice.
It's a real bummer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a feel good.
It's a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so come to find that the young man in the wheelchair was murdered. The father tells everybody, "Oh, I'm sending him off to Switzerland so that he can get cured for whatever disease he has, polio or otherwise, maybe Ebola, maybe HIV. We're not sure."
Nope.
Then,
He okay, go on.
while he's there, the Great Depression happens or something, so he can't come back until after he's 18.
World
And
War
then when
One.
World War One. My apologies. Dylan, I was an HIV major, not a history major, okay?
Jesus Christ.
Just kidding. I majored in singing and dancing, everyone. So when the young man finally comes back, he is over the age of 18, he's cured, and of course no one in the family knows that it's a different kid. Or did I mention that they change him out? He's a changeling. They change him out for a kid in an orphanage in Norway and bring him back.
I
And
can't believe how in
basically,
depth you are getting into the story. Oh, you really paid attention, Gab, because you're giving me step by motherfucking step.
that's what I thought we were supposed to be doing. So anyway, he comes back. Apparently, he doesn't know he's not the real boy. No one in the family knows it's not real. And so now Senator Joseph Carmichael has to find out that he is not who he thinks he is. He's actually a changeling. And then he goes crazy and he dies at the end. You wanna help me out a little bit here?
I feel like you rushed through a little bit at the end there. The things you skipped that I do think are important to provide is there are no other members of the family besides the father and the son. The father,
What?
there's no members of this family besides the father and Joseph Carmichael. The whole thing, it was the father, the mother, and Joseph.
Oh yeah, the
But
sister
the mother
and the mother
passed.
died.
The
Yeah.
mother's father was the one who had all the money, and he didn't care about the son, so he bypassed him and left all the money to the son, who was sickly, knowing that he wouldn't live to be 21, so that when he passed, the money would go to charity, because fuck that dad. But the money was too tempting. They literally just say the line like, the money was too tempting. And so the father murders the son, which I feel like once you get into opinion time, I definitely want to talk more about how that is revisited through some parts of The Haunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really what's interesting, well, no, I don't want to get into what's interesting because that's just my opinion now.
Let's get into opinion time.
Let's get into
formally.
opinion time.
In this critic's opinion,
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
I really like that most of the haunting things that seem to be occurring to him are going back to the moment that Joseph dies. Like when he's hearing the banging, we realize that the banging was Joseph banging on the bathtub as he was being drowned by his father.
Yeah, speaking of, we should really make sure everybody suffers along with us. The father takes Joseph by the ankles and basically keeps his head under the water for a really long time until he stops thrashing. I mean, we've all seen some kind of depiction of a drowning, but it is for some reason like particularly gruesome. And also they get very close to showing you the little boy's balls. No, like it's very like the whole time I was like, oh God, like I was covering my eyes.
Were
a
you
little bit. I felt
concerned?
like-
It's not of a sexual nature at all.
No, but I was concerned that there was going to be balls.
Okay. Well, now I know what horror movie to show you next time.
Oh,
Balls in
God,
the
no.
movie.
But no, it was like pretty graphic, all things considered.
Really? Because I don't think of this as a graphic movie at all, and I think it is the opposite of most horror movies that come out today. It is slow, it is patient, and I feel like slow sounds like a bad thing, but I appreciated very much how it would really just let things develop.
Let me be very clear. When I say graphic, I think what I'm referring to is like nothing else in the movie is very like they don't show you anything in the way that like a Saw does, right? These modern day sort of horror movies.
Mhm.
The only thing that they show you is the drowning. And it goes on for a long time. It's not like a quick, we see in the shadows that he's holding him and we hear it's like, no, 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 you're going to watch him do this. And you're going to watch it from the moment he starts until he is dead. And it's like at least 30 seconds, I would say.
Yeah, you watch him thrash about and you watch until he stops.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Not only that, we also get, and I think it's another one of the most haunting moments of the movie, is you briefly went over the night that they have the seance is the night that this little girl who lives in where the ranch and the well used to be has a horrible nightmare of this ghostly boy trying to come through the floor. So John Russell goes to the woman's house who owns the house and he's trying to tell her about all this. And she says, I'm going to have to think about it, which is honestly one of the most normal answers you don't normally see in a movie because normally the movie wants just to move. But she's just like, why don't you give me some time to think on it? And he's like, well, that seems very reasonable.
Yeah.
But that night, of course, what happens is the daughter, who has only been sleeping with her mom now, she's terrified to go back into her room, sleepwalks, and we see her sleepwalk into her room just in time for her to see a vision of the floor opened up and just Joseph staring up through the water dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is a very freaky visual. And of course, immediately she's like, all right, cut into this fucking floor because we can't keep dealing with this.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like we're skipping past a scene I really want to talk about. And the first third of this movie is really just straight grief. And it's just John Russell's grief. And I really appreciated that because it really makes it believable. There's a moment where before he is moving to Seattle, his maid, assistant, whatever this woman is, comes in and she drops a ball that clearly used to be his daughter's. And it's done in such a way that I really think is visually great, where the first bounce of the ball sends him visually back to his daughter, walking up to him, bouncing the ball, saying like, play with me, daddy, or something like that. And you just get this look of sadness on George C. Scott that he just like picks up the ball knowing that his daughter is no longer alive, no longer in this world.
No longer with us.
Yes. And he just does such a good job of portraying that grief in like a not over the top way and a just looking in the distance, but you can see in his eyes, you know, that type of feeling.
I have a question.
Yes.
And I want to make clear, I didn't bother to Google this. I was waiting until this moment for you to tell me. The actor who plays John Russell, his name is?
George C. Scott.
George C. Scott. Is he Emperor Palpatine?
No.
Damn it. But you can see where I would think that perhaps.
I guess so.
The whole time I was like, oh, this Palpa. Like all I see is Palpatine. I can't take this man seriously. I'm sorry, George C. Scott. I'm assuming is very much dead by now.
By now, yes. He's most famous for playing Patton, and he has a couple of other roles that I'll talk about. But
who?
Patton, General Patton.
In what?
The movie Patton, which he won an Academy Award for.
Yeah, well, add it to the list. I don't know. I've never seen it. Okay. I thought he was Senator Palpatine. Sorry, Emperor Palpatine. How would you address him? Senator Palpatine or Emperor Palpatine?
It depends when. In the first three movies, 4, 5, and 6, he is Emperor Palpatine. But then once you go to the past, he is Senator.
But like in your timeline as Dylan Pollock.
I would say the Emperor. Ian McDiarmid, I think is the name of the actor.
Huh. So are you also an Empire sympathizer?
No.
Calling him Emperor Palpatine?
I mean, that's his title. Ian McDiarmid, who is still alive.
Your emperor? He's not my emperor. Of course, he's still playing Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, I guess he did play him in the newest one. Yeah.
I have a friend who is watching Star Wars through for the very first time, and some dipshit, told him to watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this poor motherfucker is in the middle of episode 3 going, I'm not doing this anymore. And I'm like, please hold on. It gets better. I'm so sorry. Like, who does that to a person?
I've heard people say that now that they're like, you can watch them in the order they're supposed to be. And I'm like, watch them in the order they came out. Like, why would you do it any other way? Why? It's like there are people who are like, well, if I'm watching the MCU, I would start with Captain Marvel. That takes place in the 90s. Or I'd start with Captain America, the First Avenger. And I'm like, just go in the order they put them out in. That's the order we all saw it in.
Yeah. That means very little to me. But I can't imagine watching the, like, at least when you're watching the bad prequels, you're invested because you're like, oh, I love Star Wars. But you don't love Star Wars if you haven't seen 4, 5, and 6.
It also, I get that everybody knows who Darth Vader is by this point, but it takes away the entire climactic moment of episode 5 if you've literally watched it develop for 3 movies already.
I fucking these dipshits. So anyway, so Star Wars is ruined for this poor guy. Now, where were we?
We were talking about George C. Scott, and we were talking about
Yes.
grief and the Changeling, the movie we're here to
Okay.
talk about.
Correct. So I would like, if I may, to bring up something that really struck me in the first scene.
In the very first scene, you're talking about the
Yes.
car, the manslaughtering.
The manslaughtering, correct.
Please.
So the movie opens, and John Russell and his lovely wife and daughter are pushing what appears to be their broken down car down the highway, covered in snow. Unclear if there was just a storm or whatever, but they're pushing their car. And they're laughing and they're joking. And he finally gets to a payphone. So he's like, I'm going to go call a tow truck. And he goes to the payphone. And the daughter's like, Mommy, let's have a snowball fight. And they start having a snowball fight. And I was thinking to myself, Dylan, you imagine being that age, your car is broken down, and your parents are in the same, like, there is no.
I get what you're saying already.
There is no laughing. There is no joking.
Yeah.
There is only pain.
It's supposed to show like an idyllic family, but in the real version of it, yes, I'd be like, Mommy, let's have a snowball fight. She'd be like, shut the fuck up. Sit down. Do you have any idea how bad this is? Like,
Shut up and do not make a sound.
meanwhile, the dad would be like, thank God I found a fucking random phone in the middle of nowhere.
Like, we're all gonna fucking die out here.
He ends up
I
not
just
having
thought,
change.
like-
He'd be like, does anybody have a goddamn quarter? For Christ's sake.
He starts kicking the phone booth like, God damn it.
You know,
I
that
just
phone
felt-
booth would be destroyed.
Oh my God, it would be destroyed. I just felt like the immense horror that I would feel in the back seat, like zipping my coat all the way up, like headphones on, just like, please don't notice me. Please don't notice me. While the adults have full-blown meltdowns. Can you imagine being on the Belt Parkway with your parents and the car breaks down?
Well, the good thing is, if it were the Belt Parkway, you'd have 1,000 assholes honking the horn at you. You certainly wouldn't be lost, though. There's plenty of stuff around you. No.
Oh God, yeah, but I mean the Belt Parkway. I've seen grown men cry on the Belt Parkway.
Yeah, but that's when the car is moving. I still cry on the Belt Parkway.
Oh man. Anyway, that really struck me. I was like, this is such a work of fiction because this car is broken down and they're all still having fun.
I thought you were going to have like a nitpick about it, but honestly, I do appreciate, yes, that would be like, if we're not just trying to show like he has an ideal family life and it's about to be ruined. Yes, the realistic version is, how's the vacation going? Yeah, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do this again. I could see the same situation in Christmas Vacation with Chevy
And that
Chase.
is exactly where I was going with this. I feel like this just goes to show that the vacation movies are a much more realistic depiction of an American family than this. Our car is broken down and we're having fun.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh man. I feel like growing up, did you guys take a lot of road trips?
I feel like we did because we used to go to dog shows. Remember, you know, we would go to those Leon Burger shows. We had
Yeah.
Leon Burger is a giant dog breed for those who don't know. And my mom would go into the ring and wrestle the dogs. No, she would go to the ring and lead the dog around for, you know, presentation and form and
Like
things
Best
like
in
that.
Show. We've done
Exactly.
Best in
Yes.
Show.
Like Best
Yeah.
in Show.
Mm.
We were one of those weird families. The macadamia nut, that one would send my mother over the edge.
We did a lot of road trips too. We would do this horrendous thing when I was really young.
Didn't you guys
Where-
drive to Florida?
Oh, many a time, Dylan.
Yeah, screw
Many a
that.
time. Yeah, it was horrible. And I'll never do it again. I'm not a road trip person. You could not get me in a car for a long period of time. Like, I when I go to Albany to see Dana, I'm like, I could just fly. Fuck it. Like, I can go for lunch. So far of my notes, I have the opening scene. Can you imagine your family being on the Belt Parkway? And then is this Senator Palpatine? Notice I wrote Senator because I am a rebel. And then I also said you would never catch me dead in a crusty, dusty old house.
You say that. You know what? I got it the moment that he asked the question. He's like, what's it take to take care of a house of this size? And they go, actually, the Historical Society takes care of all that. And we got a guy, Mr. Tuttle, who will come and do it for you. I'd be like, what? Sick. Sick in the year 1980 when my rent is only $200 a month. Great. For this
I just-
8-bedroom mansion.
Did they say $200 a month?
No, I just imagine things were cheap.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. I just feel like it was so like this whole movie is his fault because that house was haunted from start to motherfucking finish.
If you think about it, it's actually Claire's fault, the lady from the historical society who's like, I got a place you would love.
Yeah. Realtors do that though, you know?
Well,
No
yeah,
offense,
that's
but like
their
that's their
job.
gig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get you into murder houses.
Yeah. How often in the last 10 years have you driven past the Amityville Horror House?
Not that often. I think we mentioned it on the podcast before. I do feel kind of bad for them because I feel like they've really worked hard to change the look of the house because I think they just wanted a house. They didn't want the house. And they have a little
Yeah.
sign that's like, please don't take photos of our house. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And now they have like the big gates, right? Or like the bushes or whatever.
yeah,
So
they
it's
got
like
like
really even
privacy
hard to see
hedges
in.
type of thing.
Yeah. But I'll say this. I don't know that there is a price that would get me to live in the Amityville Horror House. First of all, I wouldn't want to live in Amityville.
Absolutely. I
Oh,
would absolutely live in the Amityville Horror House.
are you well?
No, I'm poor.
How much? I wonder how much it went for.
Oh, it's a Long Island home, at least $800,000.
Yeah, but when did they buy it?
Oh, I don't know.
That's the thing. Like, I wonder what the most recent purchase was and what the purchase price was. And I wonder if like they're getting to a place where the murders happened so long ago that now they're driving the price up again, you know? Have I told the story on the podcast about when I was going to look at houses to buy many years ago in a very different life? And I didn't have a lot of money. So the houses that I was looking at were small and defunct. And one week I like go to see this house and it was clear that an old woman died in it. You know what I mean? Like it was just old and decrepit and it smelled musky and there were like weird dolls all over the place. There was like a sink in one of the bedrooms just randomly. It was very weird. And then a couple of weeks later, I went to go look at another house that was like in the same area, but this house was like beautiful. It had all new appliances. It was so gorgeous. And I was like, oh God, this is like way outside of my price range. Like, what the hell? And then I realized it was the same fucking house. It had been bought and flipped in like 2 weeks.
So it was really just like a landlord special where it was just a coat of paint was enough to make you say like, oh, this place was great.
Yeah, laminate floors and like a stainless steel refrigerator. And they're like, yep, it's an extra 600 grand now.
600?
I don't remember, Dill. This was like 15 years ago.
It's kind of
No.
insane though, no?
No, it wasn't 15 years ago. It was like, what year is it? It was like 10 years ago.
You were looking at a house 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't buy it because I couldn't afford it.
But that's a good point.
Yeah.
I was trying to look up, I found the address for the Amityville Horror House and I found like, I can't get the actual house on Zillow, it looks like. But the house
Yeah.
down the street from it is over $1 million. Amityville's
That's so crazy. It's Amityville.
a nice neighborhood. Parts.
No.
Yeah, parts of Amityville aren't bad.
I mean, parts of fucking everywhere are fine. I'm sure parts of Compton are lovely.
All right. Do not compare Amityville to Compton.
I mean, I don't know much about either, but I just know what I know, and I know it's not nice.
It's Anytown, USA, just a part of regular Joe Smith America.
Okay, so
I feel like you're really touching talking about this movie now.
No. I feel like this movie inspired a lot. So the next note I have is this movie really wants to be The Shining.
I don't think so. Like, I get what you're saying in that the premise isn't wildly different, but The Shining is much more about how the home corrupts our protagonist and turns him into, well, the antagonist.
Right, but don't you feel like the visuals and like the pacing was all very similar?
I don't think it's that similar, but I think it's a similar style because of the time period. And that's one of the things I'm talking about that I like is that this movie feels very patient. It feels like it will have a lot of shots of just landscape or shots of going through the house, almost like you're from Joseph's point of view, from the boy's point of view type of thing. And that's something I really appreciated.
The last thing that I want to talk about, and then I'll let you take the floor, is there's a scene when John finally gets up into the attic and we see the wheelchair and we see it's covered in cobwebs. First of all, never, never would I walk through that many cobwebs. Never. Never.
Even if it was to find a new floor in your house?
And I would be like, this is the spiders have taken it over.
I would
There's no
probably
way.
bring a vacuum cleaner and suck up the spider webs as I went.
Yeah, but then like, oh, you're gonna unveil things you don't want to see, like the actual spiders.
Yeah, you're right. I don't even like you saying that.
Yeah, it's like no, it's a terrible idea.
I think the moment I found a hidden doorway to a hidden floor, though, I'd probably say, what else is on the market? Unless I've already signed a lease.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Which he
Um,
probably has. Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Let's not get into the semantics. He should have gone home. He should have just gone. He should have left. So this buildup is not worth what I'm about to say. He's in the attic. He's looking at the wheelchair. He looks at the desk. At one point, there is a window. And the reason that he's up there is because one of the panes of glass on the window fell and shattered, and he identified that it was from there and was like, "Oh, I don't know how to get there. Let me figure it out." That's how we get to the attic. So he goes up to the window, and it is like shot for shot the attic scene in Christmas Vacation when Clark goes to put the Christmas presents up in the attic and he accidentally gets locked up there and the family is leaving to go to the mall and he's looking at them out the window and he gets stuck up there and he ends up watching old home movies. But like the scene of him going to the window and like trying to look out, I was like, this is Clark Griswold, period.
It's not the same thing at all. So is this Clark if the whole family died instead of just having a shitty vacation?
Basically, yeah. I was
Okay.
like, oh my God, this is Christmas Vacation. This scene is shot for shot. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if fucking National Lampoon was like, yeah, we love the Changeling. Even like
Do you think Chevy
this,
Chase could have played this role?
I'd like to think many things about Chevy Chase that aren't true. Like that he's nice.
Well said. All right. Have we made it through your extensive notes?
I'm done. I'm done.
Which, how nice that you took notes. You never take notes.
I don't.
Okay. Now to go through my much more extensive notes.
Great.
So I was talking before we got into your notes about the scene with the ball drop and the ball being symbolic of his dead daughter. And that leads to what is my favorite moment in the movie and probably the most significant standout moment of the movie, I feel like, where John Russell at one point, he's in the new home in Seattle and some of the haunting has begun to occur. The ball falls out and it falls down the stairs and he kind of has a moment of fuck this shit. Like obviously the ghostly presence has pushed the ball down the stairs and he's says enough because he's already dealing with the grief. He's already dealing with this haunting and he says, I'm going to let this go. So he drives to the nearest bridge and we watch him let the ball. He doesn't throw the ball. He doesn't drop it. He lets it just roll out of his hand because it seems too painful almost for him to really get rid of, but he can just let it go.
Yeah, he doesn't wind up.
Yes. He goes home, he closes the door, and he is just standing there for a second in front of the staircase. And what do we hear? But the thud, 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 thud. And we see the ball come. And it's such a great shot of the ball just rolling because we're at like the ball's point of view almost, just looking up at John Russell. And we see the ball stop like a foot in front of him as he just backs up against the door, like, fuck. You know what I mean? And I think it's honestly for a movie that, you know, I guess I would call it a horror movie for the time. I guess I would say more of a thriller now. It got to me a little bit that I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? I was like, that's not good.
Yeah.
I think it's an unsettling moment. And I wouldn't call this a jump scare movie at all. There's not any moment that like, you know, stuff is coming to get you like that. But it has moments that are unsettling. And I think that is definitely one.
One moment that I think was effective, but definitely aged poorly,
Mhm.
was when, what is his female companion's name?
Claire.
Claire is trying to find him in the house, and she ends up going up to the attic, and the wheelchair like starts chasing her around the house
Yes,
and down
I
the stairs.
love that.
I really enjoyed it. And when she was going into the attic, I was like, oh, fuck. Like I was kind of on the edge of my seat. And then as the chair starts chasing her around, I was a little bit like, this is from 1980 for sure.
Yeah, but I think it looks
but
good.
it worked. Yeah.
I love that she like we see her take the long journey up those stairs too, and she's hearing his voice. Like
Yeah.
the house is or Joseph is producing his voice, and she's like, she even says she gets up to the attic door and she's like, please don't make me go up there. Like, I think I really like that. And then she goes anyway because she hears him calling, and she just books it as this little boy wheelchair is just coming after her.
It is crazy. It is really crazy. Yeah, I liked that moment. I did feel myself like on edge, and it was fine. Do you have any information on the effects for this movie?
Not really. I wish I could have found more. I think this is a movie that wasn't popular enough at its time for there to be so much making of about it, really. I looked up what I could. I really was hoping to find more, and especially more about the very end of the movie, which, obviously we've gone into spoilers, but the house just starts to go on fire on its own. And I think it's a really cool shot of the staircase banister going on fire and the house starting to go up on fire. And I'm pretty sure they just actually lit this house on fire. I think they only had like one take at it.
Oh, damn.
Which, if that's the case, I'm
That's
like,
cool.
that is cool. Yeah.
We watched a movie where they only had one take to do something. They like blew up a car. Was that The Fugitive?
The Fugitive, I think they only had one take with the train crashing into the bus.
Ah, yes. Bus, train, got it. Yeah, great. Loved it.
What else do I have here? You know which character I guess I kind of get the purpose of, but she's there a little too much to fulfill her purpose, is the other lady from the Historical Prevention Society, who I'm like, do you know something? Because she says to him, the house is not fit to live in. It doesn't want people. And I'm like, do you know everything?
Yeah, she also at one point gets on the phone with the senator and goes, they're looking through the files. And the senator was like, make sure they stop. And I was like, so he knows?
What's interesting is I do love that we get to a point where John Russell has uncovered the entire mystery, and he goes to the senator to tell him everything, right? And the senator's just like, all right, how much money for you to shut up? And I'm like, fuck this guy. He hasn't made any demand. He doesn't want anything. He just wants this crazy little boy ghost out of his life.
But then I'm like, does he know? Because he seems surprised, but also he's acting like he knows. He's on the phone with that other lady, like, don't let them look through the files. He's on the phone with the police, like, make sure they whatever, I don't know.
To quote George Costanza, it's not a lie if you believe it. And I think he has gone along with this for 70-ish years. If he's anything like our senators of today, 80 to 100 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who knows how old he is?
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to think. There was something else I'd written down about Senator Carmichael. Having stolen someone's life for money is actually an extremely Republican thing of the senator to do.
It truly, yeah.
Also very Republican to send someone to silence John Russell before even talking to him. So he does send, do you remember he sends that police captain to like give him a stern talking to of like, he wants that christening medal back and he wants you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and then he gets murdered.
I kind of like that John Russell is just like, bring it. I'll be here.
Yeah.
But yes, not only does he get murdered, it's actually a really cool moment. We see John Russell walk over to a mirror, and the mirror on its own sort of explodes and a piece of glass goes into his neck a little bit.
He's very calm about it, by the way.
He's pretty chill this whole movie. He's like, all right, wheelchair trying to chase me. Whatever. He moves on very quickly from each of these events, I feel like.
Yeah, not his dead daughter, though. Here's another bone pick really quickly. He does mourn the daughter significantly more than the wife, and I was a little bit like, what's up with that?
I think the point is he mourns both of them, but we have the ball, which is supposed to be symbolic. We have the whole fact that he's investigating this dead child, of course, is going to remind him of his child. And Claire at one point takes him out with, she's like, do you like horseback riding? Which is a very fancy lad thing to do. And he just stops for a moment and is like, my daughter liked horses. Kind of want to kill myself. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was so sad. We see him at one point just in the morning in bed, just crying.
Yeah, but like sobbing.
Yes. And it felt very realistic and like comes out of the crying because there's the pounding again, that sound. And I was just like, this poor guy can't even sob. Like,
honestly, I was like, well, good for him. At least this haunting is, getting him up and out and getting his mind off things.
You're right. You know what? Maybe this is a good thing for him.
Yeah, it's like a hobby.
Also, I really can't believe that Claire, speaking of which, she's very sympathetic the whole time. Why does she keep coming over? She knows bad shit's going down. And she's like, hey, she kind of like, she shows up like Kramer. She just drops by all the time unannounced.
But I think she's trying to sleep with him. That's the vibe I'm getting.
I don't know. It sort of seems romantic, but not too romantic.
Well, it's like this could be romantic if we weren't like Scooby-Doo style trying to solve this mystery.
You're right. She would have gotten away with fucking him if not for you damn changelings.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Can we go into the facts, or do you have anything else to say?
I just also want to say this movie has some great musical transitions from the piano playing to the orchestra, moments like
Uh-huh.
that. The filmmaking is really well done. It's on Peacock. I think it might be in other places too. I think it's entirely on
YouTube.
YouTube. So I would
Yep.
recommend checking it out.
Yeah, there is one commercial break and it comes at a very inopportune time.
Wait, when was the commercial break?
I don't remember. I think it was during like a kind of a scary scene and like something weird is about to happen and then they're like Venus razors. And I was like, "Oh shit."
I'm your Venus.
Yes.
I want the truth.
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
So on the Rotten Tomato meter, it has an 85%. The audience score is 79%. IMDb gives it a 7.1 out of 10. It had a budget of $6.6 million and grossed $12 million. It was released March 28th, 1980. The critics' consensus: George C. Scott's somber performance gives this haunted house horror a moving soul to go along with its harrowing scares.
Okay.
Roger Ebert gave it 2.5 stars. If it only took craftsmanship to make a haunted house movie, The Changeling would be a great one. Rob Aldham from the Backseat Mafia: The Changeling is an icily tense horror which bathes its events in an eerie and otherworldly atmosphere. Brian Basisi from the horror. I don't know why that sounds like Badisi or whatever to me. Like Brian Badisi from the Horror Movie Club podcast. While the film's mystery becomes increasingly outlandish as it unfolds, The Changeling brings subtle yet effective chills and pacing that keeps the viewer engaged from start to finish. And lastly, Fiona Ferguson from Time Out: The leaps made by Scott's agile mind in identifying both victim and usurper leave logic and credence on the starting block. Which I guess is kind of
Usurper.
he does kind of quickly figure out that he's like, well, clearly this little boy is just crying out for help. Like he's pretty immediately like, I don't think he wants to hurt me.
And you know what I think is really interesting too? At no point is he like, this is clearly my daughter trying to get back to me. It's like there was no moment of confusion. Like I was like, he should be thinking, this is my wife, this is my daughter, they're trying to tell me something. There could have been a moment where people were like, you're crazy, the house isn't making noise, you are just
I feel like
grieving.
that would be so cliche and obvious though. And I like that the movie just says at one point, the reason that you were able to perceive this so quickly is because you have recently lost your daughter, your wife, and you're more open right now because of that loss.
I guess.
You want to hear some Letterboxd reviews?
You know I do.
Patrick Willems said, love to see characters in horror movies going to the library to do research. Microfiche, old maps. David Sims: I always make sure to travel with my trusty 2-foot metal seance pole. Which we should have talked more about the seance scene, but it is actually very cool.
It is good.
Branson Reese: really loved George C. Scott's relationship with the ghost. 0 parts scared and 5 parts Jesus, what now?
That is fucking real.
That is very much his energy. He actually comes back at one point and he just goes, what else do you want from me? Like, he's like, come on.
He's like, I didn't kill you.
I just want to sleep and cry.
Don't we all?
Last one from Justin La Liberty: picked the right week to watch a horror movie that villainizes a short-tempered Republican senator that is afraid of the truth.
Boom. Roasted.
The movie is directed by Peter Medak, who also directed Species 2. He did episodes of Hannibal, Breaking Bad, House, and Law & Order SVU.
By the way, we just finished Breaking Bad.
Did you both like it?
So I had already seen it, so of course I liked it. Corey really liked it.
Great show.
I feel a little bit like when you watch it after the fact, because I don't know about you, but I was watching it as it was happening.
Same.
So when you watch it after the fact, it's a little bit like, yeah, that was a really good story. And you miss the like, oh, fuck, what's going to happen next week?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was a different experience for him. But he really liked it. He was really happy that it had a beginning and an ending and every loose end gets tied up. You forget that like every detail is accounted for.
Which is
Every single
impressive
one.
considering that there's a whole nother movie afterwards and there's a prequel series.
Yeah. So now we're going to start Better Call Saul, which I'm super excited about because the guy from fucking
Bob Odenkirk,
Best in Show. No, not Bob Odenkirk. The guy, the
Michael
one who plays his
McKean.
brother, Michael McKean, is like the best part of that show, if I remember correctly. I only watched the first season,
I've never seen
but
it.
also, we should watch it together. Start
That's a
watching
whole
it
nother
tonight.
podcast.
Yeah, Better Call Gavin Dillon about Better Call Saul. And then should we watch the movie?
I don't know. I've never heard a bad thing, but I've never heard that it's like you have to see it
Should we do it on this podcast?
if you want to.
Better Call Gavin Dillon about Better Call Saul about the movie.
El Camino is
El
the name
Camino.
of the
Breaking Bad the musical.
movie. Breaking Badusical.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. I just want to say the other thing that Peter Medak directed because I loved the title Zorro the Gay Blade.
Oh my God.
Balls.
Is that what I think it is?
I don't think so, but it could be.
We will never be sure.
The Gay Blade will pierce you.
I will not be looking it up.
The screenplay was written by William Gray and Diana Maddox, who also wrote Prom Night, The Amateur, and The Philadelphia Experiment. It's based on the book by Russell Hunter. The movie stars George C. Scott as John Russell, who you may know from Patton, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, and The Exorcist 3. Trish Van Devere as Claire Norman, who you may know from Messenger of Death, The Hearse, and One is a Lonely Number. And Melvin Douglas as Senator Carmichael, who you may know from Being There and HUD, but he was also in movies with these real titles. Too Many Husbands, They All Kissed the Bride, Our Wife.
Oh my God.
I found it very relatable. And She Married Her Boss.
Good one. Zing.
It won Genie Awards, which were the Canadian Academy of Cinema and Television's annual awards from 1980 to 2012 for Best Motion Picture, Best Sound Editing, Best Achievement in Sound, Best Achievement in Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Performance by a Foreign Actor for George C. Scott, Best Performance by a Foreign Actress for Trish Van Devere.
They won all of those? Were there any other movies?
It's for the movies which were specifically made in Canada, so it's only a very select few, but it clearly did very well that year.
Wow. Okay. All right. Cool. Listen, Canada, rock on.
Fun facts.
Please.
Director Peter Medak said he was initially intimidated by stories of actor George C. Scott being difficult to work with. The only trouble Medak had with Scott on the set was when production managers accidentally knocked over a chessboard on which Scott had been playing a game against himself for over 2 weeks.
Yikes. How do you make a chess game last 2 weeks?
I imagine he's not going fast. I imagine he's like, today, time for another turn.
Interesting. That seems frustrating. Any other games that you could play against yourself?
Rummy Cube.
Oh my God, one of my clients, her daughter is a competitive Rubik's Cuber.
You know, I feel like at a certain point, they're all just like the same level of amazing. They're all just like, I did it in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently there are like she described it as there are algorithms where you pick it up and if it's facing the right side, then you just like bang, 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 and you get it.
That's freaky.
Which made it less. At first I was like, okay, that's much less interesting. But then I was like, if they're all different, then you have to get it to that starting point before you can get the algorithm. So that's crazy. Also, I think she's misusing the word algorithm and also like, who cares?
I was going to say, I'm like, humans don't do algorithms on their own.
Yeah.
I guess you can. I don't know. Director Martin Scorsese included this movie on his top 11 scariest horror films of all time. It was number 6 above movies like The Shining, The Exorcist, and Psycho.
Okay.
The Ball Bouncing Down the Stairs was ranked 54th on Bravo's list of the 100 scariest movie moments back in 2004.
Okay.
Actor Trish Van Devere and George C. Scott were married to each other in real life. Publicity for this picture stated that they had worked together 7 times in their then 8 years of marriage. They had been together in 6 movies, 1 made for TV, and 1 stage play.
Did it last?
I believe so. Let me double check that while you say something else, says Wikipedia.
I'm just very interested to know if this marriage made it or if they were like, because you know those couples that are always like, look at how much we love each other. They never last.
It was his 4th marriage, but it was until he passed in 1999. 27 years. Yeah.
Good for them. You know, tell me what you think about this. I feel like there should be a limit on how many times you can get married. Not religious. I want to make that clear. This is purely from a Listen, we all get a mulligan, but you gotta make sure you're serious this time.
The limit should
Um,
really be on what kind of gifts you get for when you get married. It should be each time you get diminishing returns.
I'm not. We're not registering for gifts. Is that a mistake, you think?
No, you'll just get cash.
Yeah, we're only inviting like 40 people. But also I just feel like we're I don't need dishes,
Yeah, no, you get to a
you
certain
know?
point in your
It's
life where you're
fine.
like, I don't need a blender. Yeah. Okay. In a featurette for the DVD release of Scream in 1996, Nev Campbell named The Changeling as the scariest film she had ever seen.
Oh, well, I mean, if Nev Campbell says it, then.
Bazinga! George C. Scott is one of 3 people who have refused an Academy Award. 10 years prior to the release of this movie, he became the first actor to decline an Oscar, refusing the award he won for Patton in 1970. Scott believed that performances cannot be compared to each other. The other 2 individuals were Marlon Brando and Dudley Nichols.
Wow. That never occurred to me that someone would do that. What would you have any information on the other two?
Marlon Brando, I don't remember what movie he turned it down for, but I remember he sent someone else in his place. I believe a Native American woman. I feel bad that I don't remember her name. And the crowd was pretty ruthless to her as she had her moment to give a speech in his place. Yeah,
Yikes. What was she like talking about Native American things?
I believe so. Yes.
Oh, interesting. Brando doesn't strike me as a philanthropist.
I think Brando was just like, I don't want to do the work of walking up a stage.
That talk about the greatest fall from grace in the history of the world. What the fuck happened to Marlon Brando?
I just love the stories of. Have you ever heard the story on Superman the movie that he was like, "What if Jor-El was a bagel? Because then I don't even have to be on screen." And it's like, no, Jor-El's a person. He kind of looks like a guy. He kind of looks like you. Like, come on.
That is psychotic. But he was so attractive as a young man. He's like goes down in history as one of the most attractive humans that God ever made. And then God took it back.
I don't think so. I think you're mostly saying that because of the makeup prosthetics for the Godfather, and that's how you're picturing him older.
Oh, those are prosthetics?
Yes, he doesn't actually have jowls like this.
Oh, I thought he got jowly.
No, he got heavier a little bit, but like you should look at Superman the movie to see him older. You know what I mean?
Interesting. All right, I'll do that research.
A quick Google. Stephen King cited this film as one of his favorite horror films. He said there are no monsters bursting from chests. Just a child's ball bouncing down a flight of stairs was enough to scare the daylights out of me.
You know, I want you to know that we went for a run the other day and somehow chest bursters came up and I could not for the life of me. I was like, what's it called? The alien. It's like a heart jumper, something. It's a something burster. And then I finally came to it. Chest burster.
You're a heartbreaker.
Chest burster.
The last thing I have here is this movie was inspired by a real haunt, according to author Russell Hunter. He was a composer for CBS New York who moved out west to assist his parents in the lodge they owned. In the 60s, he moves into what is the Henry Treat Rogers Mansion, who was the only previous occupant before him. And on February 9th, 1969, he began to be woken up every morning by thrashing. And the moment he woke up, it would stop with the doors opening and shutting, walls shaking, faucets starting on their own. He had an architect come over and look at the house who found a hidden staircase to a 3rd floor with a room that had a journal for a disabled boy who lived in isolation with his favorite toy being a red ball. The next morning, he woke up to a red ball bouncing next to him. He also held a seance at the house, and the spirit eventually led him to a body with a gold medallion. The house was demolished, and apartments have since been built over it.
In the deepest part of your soul,
Mhm.
do you believe that?
No.
Me neither.
But you know what? It made for a decent movie.
Well, I guess that leads us into our next segment.
Not quite, because this is one of the few times ever we've gotten mail ahead of time.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
So we have mail from Jeff, who did suggest this movie, saying his blurb for The Changeling. Dylan, I was in a writing mood and couldn't help myself. I wrote a blurb for the movie. There's a slight spoiler in the first paragraph, but it's from the first scene of the movie, so it's not a big deal. Have you ever occupied a space and silently asked yourself, if these walls could talk, what stories would they tell? The 1980 supernatural horror film The Changeling doesn't just answer that, it curls a monkey's paw around your question. The film follows the story of John Russell, played by George C. Scott, You probably know him best as General Buck in Dr. Strangelove. John survives the accident that kills his wife and daughter, a tragedy during what was meant to be a family vacation. In order to move on, he moves across the country to Seattle, but the house he moves into, however, also hides a tragedy. The Changeling is a slow burn ghost story, an atmospheric horror that doesn't scare you all at once, but paralyzes you by 1,000 cuts. But it's more than just a scary movie, it's a tightly woven mystery, whispered, then eventually shouted by the walls themselves. As the truth unravels, the tone shifts, and what began as a haunting transforms into a full-blown thriller. In the end, John's search for answers becomes a supernatural form of catharsis, a ghost story doubling as a way to process grief and regain a sense of control over his life. Also, fun fact, Martin Scorsese has The Changing on his list of the 11 scariest horror films ever. But his list was paywalled, so I can't tell you where it's ranked. Spooky regards, Jeff. I did the research, Jeff. It was 6th.
He paid. Dylan paid for this podcast. Jeff, you're very passionate about this. Thank you.
He really was. And now we can get to these verdicts.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished. Sentence is death.
Well, Dylan, since you decided that we were going to listen to Jeff and watch this movie, why don't you tell me what you think?
You know, Jeff, I went back and forth on it, but only briefly because I do think this is a movie to watch before you die. I think it is a very interesting, different horror movie. And while I get you're saying it's similar to The Shining in some ways, I just think it is very subtle and very slow burn like he describes. And I think the way it portrays grief for the first act, I just found so enthralling. Like there are times where he's sort of acting like everything's normal. Like he's having a conversation with the people who helped him get hired at the university and he just sees their daughter come in and you can tell that he just like pauses as he thinks about his own child. And I just think it's a movie that's really carried mostly by George C. Scott's performance. He's an incredible actor, I think. And it works for me. And I think if you've never seen the movie, go on freaking YouTube. It's free, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, there's one commercial.
Yeah.
I want to start by saying that this is not my cup of tea. This is not my favorite genre of film. I wasn't like super excited to watch this, but as I was watching it, I was invested. And there were definitely moments where I was like, oh God, okay, all right, we get it. Yes, okay, understood. But there were other moments where I was like, oh shit, I did not see this coming. And so ultimately what I will say is if I'm going to watch a horror/thriller movie, I want it to be worthwhile. I want it to be memorable and I want it to be different from all the other, typical things that we all have been subjected to. And so while I don't think I would ever watch it again, or look for it in any capacity, I do think it was a worthwhile watch. And I think if you are somebody who likes this type of movie, that you would enjoy it. And so against maybe my better judgment, I am going to solidify this as a movie to watch before you die.
Wow. Put it in the books. I did not expect that, Gab. I really didn't.
I know. Dylan, I am well-adjusted and evolved.
We got a little bit of a streak going now.
Yeah, we do. I want to talk a little bit about something that has consistently bothered me, and it's been coming up in my Instagram algorithm quite a bit, and that is the fact that you said The Birdcage is not a movie to watch before you die.
Just like I've consistently been bothered that you said The Thing is not a movie to watch before you die.
I'm bothered by the fact that I said that as well.
Well, Gab, you and I have discussed, and we have what could be a remedy to this. We are putting it in the hands of you, the one listener. That's right, Jeff. It's all up to you. No. We decided that we were going to add a new idea to this. It could kind of be part of the mail segment, but if you have listened to one of our episodes and thought, I can't believe they said that wasn't a movie to watch before you die, I want you to write in what movie it is, give us your impassioned plea, send us a voice message, whatever you want to do. That is your time at the podium to tell us why whatever movie we said no to is a movie to watch before you die.
There is one caveat, though.
Go on.
You cannot be writing in trying to argue for a movie for which you were a guest on the podcast. If
which will henceforth be known as the Kyle
chose
rule.
The movie and we said no, you don't get to argue it. The Kyle rule, exactly. Yeah. Kyle's law.
This will also prevent Keen from writing in about the
Music
Man. Yeah. All right, Gab. I think
I never want to talk about the Music Man ever again. Although I have listened to that song a couple times.
You got trouble. Is that the one you're talking about?
Fuck.
You got audio
but why
trouble.
is there such a delay?
All right, Gab. I think I can cut around and make it work. I think we've reached the end of the podcast. Do you want to say the things we say to end an episode?
Yes. So thank you so much for listening. If you have a movie that you would like to recommend, please write us. Let us know. You can write us an email at movies-to-watch-before-you-die@gmail.com. You can send us a voice note. Let us know if we were ever wrong. If you have another movie to suggest, we might watch it. We probably won't. Please check out the link in the description below. There's a link tree in there with our friends from the Hall of Pods podcasting network. You can find our social medias. You can find our merch store. You can find my Venmo, and I really would love it if you just send me a couple bucks. And lastly, have a nice life.
Try not to wake up crying.
Do your best.
You goddamn son of a bitch. What is it you want?